Good morning, good evening, good night. It really depends on the place of the world you are. Welcome again to a new Coffee with Kabbalah, sponsored by the German Jewish Museum in Santiago, Chile. And you can see I went to Ashdod, this beautiful city, little south in Israel, but I'm enjoying the sun. But more than the sun, and more than the area here, I will have a really nice conversation with, Ava Hananya Goodman. He made aliyah from Wisconsin, the U.S., and today he has been director emeritus of libraries in the Sami Shamoon College of Engineering, Beersheba and Ashdod. So welcome to the show, Ava. And it's my pleasure to have you here, and we will have a great conversation on different topics of your life. I mean, guys, you need to see this is an extraordinary person that we will be talking about many issues. Again, welcome.
Thank you very, very much. I'm glad. It's wonderful to be appreciated and to be called extraordinary, and I don't deserve it, but thank you very much. And it's wonderful to be with you and to participate and to be part of all the good work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Let me go, and I would like to cover. There are many things that we can talk today, but we have 30 minutes. If not, we will be talking like 24 hours, because there are many things that we will be bringing to the table. But we will go first, and because I'm looking at the paint which is behind you, and we will talk about the Asemic writing and making connections to Kabbalah for the kind of art you do. So can you explain us what is all this about?
Okay, well, it's there's two parts to that answer. One is the personal part of how I got into it and what I do, my particular approach to this type of art, and the other is what the art is, or the writing is about, and how does it connect to other kinds of artistic movements and ways of thinking. So I am a person who has been obsessed with writing, and I've written millions of notes over the last 50 years, and I've kept all those notes, and I have hundreds of thousands of pages of notes, and I like to write my thoughts down. And I'm been involved with education and intellectual matters and academia and education for most of my career, but recently, a few years ago, I started to write notes, but I started to write without meaning. I would scribble and I would gesture and I'd sort of dance along the page, and I said, that looks interesting, it's aesthetically pleasing, and I was just doodling. I mean, a lot of people do that. I looked on the Facebook groups to see if there were any other people that are doing that sort of thing. And lo and behold, there was a group called Asemic Writing, New Post Literacy. It's a Facebook group, but now has, about 30,000 people on it. The idea is that there these people that are coming from the world of writing, of calligraphy, of abstract expressionism, and we all sort of found a home in this kind of writing practice, which has historic antecedents, and in most cultures, most literate cultures, and I took an interest in trying to find out if there were any in connections to Jewish literature and Jewish tradition and Kabbalah, and anyway, so I had no interest in art. I didn't study art. I have no particular skills in art. I don't have much of a visual imagination, truth be told. But a few years ago, for whatever reason, I started to do this, and a lot of my energy shifted over from writing obsessively meaningful words to just sort of these scribbles, and then it became kind of an art form. And I've now produced some 30,000 pieces of what I call characters. I have 30,000 pieces of paper that are 50 by 70 centimeters. I use India ink, gouache, soft pastels, coffee, and
Coffee?
and my own little mixture, and I'm able to form what I call characters. You can call them ideograms or ideographs, but they're characters in two senses of the word. One is that they are characters like letters, as if letters. They look like they're as if letters of some kind of script, but they're not. And the other kind of character is that they have a kind of animation. So character in the sense of a person or an animal or something that's alive, they're biological, that is animated. So they're characters in a sense. And I use all kinds of unusual tools. I use a palm tree branch, in the Hebrew it's called the lulav. I take the middle part of the lulav and I use that to paint with, or write with, or draw with, however you want to look at it. Regarding the Kabbalistic connections,
Yes.
Going back to the Bible itself, to Genesis, Bereshit, we see the value placed on the Torah, on the Bible, on the impact of the Word. The Word has a capacity to create the world. God created the world with language and fiat, and so the rabbis in our tradition place a great emphasis on the power and the capacity of language, and so that's the first concept. Later in Kabbalah, in the 13th century, 12th century, Abraham Abulafia, a very famous Kabbalist, developed a concept of letter combinations and placed some emphasis on the form. The forms of the letters. He wasn't the only one. There were many rabbis that took the script of the Hebrew language as having a power in itself. That is, the shapes of the letters, okay, without necessarily referring to any meaning, but they attributed meaning to the shapes of the letters. So there is a long-standing tradition. And then jumping forward to the modern period, the founder of lettrism, Isidore Isu, a Romanian Jew from a Hasidic background, he advanced the whole theory of language and the power of letters themselves to influence social and political power structures. I don't go that far, but he.
No, it's okay.
But anyway, so I was very pleased with that. And but if you look at other traditions, which I can't really, I don't have much expertise on, but I know I have friends in Italy. His name is Enzo Patti. He has produced a massive work of Asemic writing, and he recently came out with a book looking at the history, the very long history of Asemic writing. Now, I don't like the word Asemic. I like the word PROSEMIC, and I'm not forcing other people to agree with me. But the word PROSEMIC means going toward meaning, as Asemic means without meaning. Now, when I do my artwork, I don't have any intention to create things that have no meaning. I think meaning is ubiquitous, pervasive, in the universe, and everything has meaning. We may not recognize it or understand it, but I believe optimistically that things have some meaning. So when I create, it's a wonderful experience, and that's why I do it. I'm just doing it for myself, and it feels good to make things, So I keep doing it.
How many of those paintings do you have? I mean, it was a big number, right?
Yeah, 30,000 pieces, and I've had to, I now put them in storage because I don't have any room for these things. I mean, they're not framed. I mean, but they're pieces of paper that are 30 by 50 centimeters. Sometimes I do smaller pieces, but
Okay, can you explain a little bit what you have behind you? I mean, just briefly, if you can, we can show that one. Yes.
Yeah. So this is just an example I happen to have nearby. I thought I would pull it out for you, but this is. Again, I don't give any meaning to it. I'm happy if you have a meaning to it, and people have all kinds of meanings. I posted one yesterday, and somebody said it was very scary and terrible. Another person said it was delightful. So everybody, it's the same piece. So everybody, I don't give names to my pieces at all. Usually, I don't. Rarely will I give a name to a piece. I leave that up to people. I don't. And this is I try to be upbeat. I try to go up in my pieces, and this is done with soft chalk. I don't like oils. I don't like oil pastels. I use a soft chalk. It has a very nice effect. I use a lot of India ink. This is India ink, and the Asemic part of it is. I would say is when a person familiar with Asemic was going to say, well, these are as if letters. These are as if points or dots that one might see in a linguistic setting, and and a lot of it is background. So there's a lot of activity, and there's a sort of curve here. But every day is different, and I will do about between 10 and 20 in an hour, once a day. So every day I pretty much I do this. I have a session. I usually start at 4:00, and I go.
4:00 in the morning?
No, in the afternoon. 4:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I put on some music, and I have a glass of ouzo, and I
enjoy the life.
But now my life has sort of been inundated with all of these things, and I don't know what to do. I would like to find someone to agent my my reproductions or originals or whatever. But everybody's yelling at me. What are you going to do with those 30,000? I said, I don't know. I didn't think about it too much. I was just doing it because I like to do it.
I was trying to think about when you said that it was 30,000. I tried to reproduce in my mind 30,000 divided by whatever hours you work a day. I don't know how many days you have been working with this. I will say PROSEMIC now because I will start with this one. I also like the meaning of PROSEMIC. So I mean, I don't know how many hours you've been with this, but it's you have dedicated a long time with this PROSEMIC idea writing.
Right. So, look, these are done without. Most artists have imagination, and they have planning, and they have skills. For whatever reason, I don't have any of those three. I mean, I have some skills that I developed over the last few years. Okay, I admit that, but I didn't have this image in my head when I made it. I didn't say I'm going to do this, that, and I'm going to do that. So it's what we in Hebrew call toch kadei. It's like in the process. It's in the moment. And I was listening to Lee Krasner, the wife of Pollock, And she was explaining a very similar process. She says she sits down in front of a blank piece of canvas, and she just starts. And that's what I do. I also have this very important principle of starting with a little. I look at the white page. I put something there, and it's could be a little bit of coffee. It could be just some paint, and it's messy and it's disordered. And I work with it until I recognize some kind of order, some kind of meaning, and at that point I stop. So this piece that you're looking at could probably take 45 seconds to do. So I'll start here, I'll do that, and I'll work it, and I'll finish it in less than a minute. And I say, beautiful, I like it. It's over, and
Okay.
I move on. But I don't have any plan for it. I don't have to do this. I want to do that. It should have looked like that. Or work on it like a regular painter who will work on an art piece to get his image in his head onto the canvas or onto the paper for whatever. So it's very automatic. It's very spontaneous. And a lot of people that I associate with operate in a similar way. Now, I'm sure in the old days people would say it's not art, but I like to think that I'm doing writing. But
This
listen,
is art.
I'm writing. I can. It makes more sense if I wrote 30,000 characters. That's like manageable, So if I'm making anyway, but that's a small point.
Let me. While you're drinking some water, let me go and change the topic, because that's another beautiful, idea what Abba is doing today. Now he has a new job. He's a librarian at the Albert Einstein archives at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and we will talk about 101 years from the Albert Einstein's visit to Israel. So the audience will know that Albert Einstein also went to Israel, and he knows the story about behind all this idea. So Abba, let's go into now. We will change from your prosemic art to Albert Einstein. It's a totally different thing.
Okay. So I 2007, I volunteered at the Albert Einstein Archive at Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and I helped to edit a book, and I helped to organize articles about Einstein's connection to Judaism and Israel, and I also wrote an article about his the people's assumption that he had this learning disabilities, or was dyslexic, or he was autistic, or whatever, and I systematically critique those beliefs. But I don't want to go into that now. But I think that that was a wonderful experience, and that was. So recently, a close friend of mine who works there invited me to come back and as a librarian at the archives, and I recently started that. Einstein was always had a positive feeling and experience and relationship to Judaism, to Israel, and he was a great defender of Jews around the world. He was a great defender of Israel. He believed that there needs to be a Jewish homeland, that Jewish homeland should be a place of spiritual and cultural revival. It should be a center for learning and study and progress and going into the modern world. He came at the invitation of Chaim Weizmann in 1923 to participate in the opening of Hebrew University, and he was also asked in 1952 to be the president of Israel. He declined, saying he wasn't qualified for that kind of thing. But Einstein he was actively involved in promoting Israel as a homeland and a refuge but mostly as a center for thinking and spiritual life. The people, there are people today who say he was not a Zionist, and they base their critique on the idea that he was critical of some militant and nationalist elements at the time in the late 20s and 30s going forward, and he was very critical of those things. But that's it's okay to be critical and to say, things are going too far in a certain direction, but it doesn't mean he had changed his views about the centrality of the land of Israel and a place for the Jewish people to have as a homeland. So that's in a nutshell, that's Einstein's approach to Israel.
So you're enjoying a lot your new job at the university,
Yeah, so I sit where I work as a librarian. I sit in the middle of his personal library, and he, all of his books on physics and Goethe and plays by Bernard Shaw, and he was well read, and he was a humanitarian and humanistic, and he believed in the value of knowledge, obviously.
Great. So let me go to another thing, which is behind this special character I'm talking today, Abba. I know on Friday, every Friday, you sit down. You have a friend. He has a bookstore, and then you sit down and you invite people, bread, herring, cheeses, potato chips, all chairs, which are also important. And you go to the entrance of your friend's bookstore, and then you invite people to come in off the street and looking for the books, discover a wonderful, welcoming group. Why are you doing this right now? What is the purpose behind this?
Right. Well, it's a good question. First of all, a lot of most of my life has been kind of introverted, interior, concerned with spiritual things, intellectual things, academic things, education. I've had a very inner life, and I also like to have a social life. So some years ago, I don't know if it was 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I decided I don't get enough spending my whole day in a library with books and people, so I wanted something even more. So there's a used bookstore in Allenby Street, which is a central street in Tel Aviv. It's been around for over about 25 years, and Yosef Halper is the proprietor, and I would just go there on Fridays, and I would hang out and bring food and liquor, and there were other people that joined in, and it just became a regular thing I would do. I would just sit there and meet people and sit quietly, and some have interesting conversations or not. And there were a few other regular characters with very strong personalities that were there. We played music, and we had a good time. There was a break, I guess, during COVID and a little bit before that. But now we're in full swing, and we have people. They come to the bookstore because they're looking for books, and but there's also a social element that people that like books also like other people that like books. So we don't only talk about books, we talk about everything under the sun, politics, and our love lives and our problems, and we joke around, and we tease each other, and so there's a lot of camaraderie and it's fun, and I look forward to that every Friday. And that we've had some very interesting people come through, and it's been great. See,
Great,
I don't know.
So I want to tell my audience. I mean, you see, when I started the show today, I say this: you are special, and we went from PROSEMIC writing, then we went to Albert Einstein, and we talked a little about Einstein, and then we're going to finish our show with daily life, what is common. I mean, it's social. Sit down, talk about everything, because this is why you go there. You talk about everything. You enjoy life. You have a little wine. You have a cheese. You have everything. So we went from ideal things, and then we finished with our daily life, and this is life. Again, this is life. I'm glad that you came here to One Coffee with Kabbalah, sponsored by the German Jewish Museum in Santiago, Chile. And we are going to invite all our viewers, subscribers, and everyone to join our next Coffee with Kabbalah, because it will be absolutely fantastic. And now on, I will enjoy Ashdod, and I will continue with Amma talking about other things. So, my friends, thank you very much for being here, Abba. It was my pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.